Swiss doctor Nathaniel St served as a surgeon to the royal family in England. One day he received a disturbing letter stating that a woman named Mary Toft had given birth to 14 rabbits in the past few weeks. The letter reported that the rabbits were born without fur, in pieces, and some of those pieces did not even seem to be rabbit parts, but cat parts. This news hit the London newspapers, and St. Andre set out to see it. He arrived just in time because Mary was in labor again. She was waving her arms, shouting, and sometimes even laughing. St. Andre saw with his own eyes how Mary gave birth to the breast of the rabbit, and a little later the bottom part and the head. It was incredible! Then another one appeared, but again without fur and in pieces. The local doctor had a theory as to why this was happening. He speculated that the womb was exerting so much pressure on the pelvic floor that it was simply squeezing the rabbits out of their skin. St. Andre was shocked. Mary Toft was giving birth to rabbits before his eyes. But let's talk a little bit about early gynecology. Midwives used to use their practical knowledge to help babies into the world, but Mary Toft was already living at a time when there were male midwives. They were doctors who approached the birth process using scientific medicine. There was one problem though. There was no way to look at how a living organism worked. In 18th century medical education, dissection was common, but because of the taboo against using the bodies of pregnant women for anatomical studies, male obstetricians had no idea what was going on in the womb. It was a mystery. Plus, there was still the common theory of maternal impressions, which said that a strong emotion or sudden shock could affect the child. For example, if a child was born with a flat skull, they could say that the mother was frightened by a toad, and this led to the birth of a toad-like child. Or if the blue eye color didn't match the father's, it was explained by the fact that the mother prayed a lot to an image of a blue-eyed saint. But definitely not because she spent a great deal of time with that blue-eyed boy. Mary Toft told me that she used to dream about rabbits, and she wanted rabbit meat all the time. So much so that it was the only thing she could think about. This story fit well with the theory of maternal impressions, which was being debated in the medical community at the time. So St. Andre examined Mary. He concluded that rabbits were emerging from her fallopian tubes and decided that her craving for rabbit meat was the cause of all this, according to the theory of maternal impressions. But the other doctor the king sent to confirm the results was not so naive. He didn't believe Toft, conducted a study and found that the rabbit's digestive system contained straw and grain. You don't often find that in a human womb. He also noticed that the rabbits had been cut with a knife rather than crushed. However, St. Andre did not give up. In conversations with the king, he insisted that it was all true. He had affidavits from neighbors of the town hall, and he even teamed up with another doctor who believed that Danish women could give birth to little black mice. Finally, it was decided to put the matter to rest. Mary Toft was to come to London and appear before the most eminent physicians in the country. By this time, she was already a sensation in all the newspapers. Mary Toft and her rabbits had captured the imagination of the people of the country. The London press maligned the doctors for their naivety and made so many dirty jokes about rabbits that London restaurants even removed rabbit meat from their menus. Mary's observation lasted for 6 weeks. During that time, she tried to give birth again, but surrounded by critical doctors. They didn't believe her, but no one called her a fraud either, because so far they had no hard evidence. But then they got it. They learned that Mary had tried to bribe a porter to bring her a rabbit. Just a day later, another investigator told them that during Mary's labor, her husband had bought up every rabbit he could get his hands on. Poor Mary was questioned 3 times. The doctors were furious with her for making them look like fools, even though most of them didn't believe her. One doctor even threatened to explore her womb through a very painful operation if she didn't confess. Eventually, Mary confessed to the deception and said she was pushed into it by her husband's mother. After Mary had a miscarriage, they began to work together to put animal parts inside her to fake a birth. Mary was sent to prison, and crowds of people gathered outside her cell window to gawk at her. And yet, why did Mary do it? She didn't get any money for it. And sharp claws and bones are a very painful experience. She could have gotten infected. Her confession didn't say anything about motive. Maybe it was a prank that got out of hand. Maybe she did want to make money from it in the future. Maybe Mary's mother-in-law, who was a midwife, wanted to embarrass the doctors who had mastered her profession. There is even a theory that the whole situation was a political protest against the landlords, taking over peasants' fields to breed rabbits. But it's possible that it was birth trauma from a miscarriage, and the rabbit parts were just ways of keeping the memory of the lost child alive. And if that's true, it's very, very sad. 3 months later, Mary was released because they just didn't know how to punish her. After all, pretending to give birth to rabbits is perfectly legal, even if several doctors' careers are ruined in the process. And St. Andre's career really took a huge hit because of this. Mary went home afterward and gave birth to a baby girl a year later. Now we have ultrasound. However, all sorts of medical myths, including pregnancy myths, still exist and spread on social media. Like St. Andre, people still ignore the contradiction and find allies in conspiracy theories. So Mary Toft is not that far behind. Thank you for watching. Why do so many people watch me without subscribing? Just hit the red button and give me a like. I'd be very happy if you did. Also see the previous video, Why Joseph Stalin Abandoned His Son in the War. Thank you.